Today we're continuing our series on how to live to be 100 by making another delicious recipe from our Blue Zones cookbook. So join me. Today we're going to be making a delicious minestrone soup, and this is going to come from Sardinia, Italy. So this minestrone soup just sounds really good to me. It's got all kinds of amazing things in it. But to start off, we're actually going to cook some beans and lentils together before adding them to the rest of the soup. They're going to have to simmer for about a half an hour. So the recipe actually calls for fava beans, red beans, and garbanzo beans. I could not find fava beans anywhere. I don't even know what a fava bean is. So I'm going to substitute some additional red beans for the amount of fava beans that we're going to have. So the first thing I'm going to do is rinse my beans. I've got some red beans, some garbanzo beans. I'm going to rinse them until they come clear, and then I'm going to put the measured amount in a pan of water. So I've put a half a cup of cooked garbanzo beans, a half a cup of red beans, and then I substituted another half a cup of red and garbanzo beans for the fava beans. And then to this, I'm going to add a quarter of a cup of lentils. I'm just going to cook this in some water I'm going to simmer it for about a half an hour, and I'm going to choose to use these red lentils today. I do have the brown ones, so you can use either one. It's just a matter of preference, but I'm going to go ahead and put in a fourth of a cup of dry lentils. There you go. I'm going to take this over to the stove, and I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to turn the heat down and simmer this for 30 minutes. So our beans are done cooking, so I'm going to go ahead and drain the lentils and the beans. So to 3 quarts of water, I put in my rinsed beans and lentils. And next I'm going to just chop up an onion. Now you can chop these up as fine or as large as you like. I'm just kind of doing a medium chop today. I'm going to put 1 chopped tomato in here. I'm going to be adding 2 large potatoes. And again, I'm just going to do kind of a medium rough chop, nothing real big. I'm using yellow potatoes, but you could use russet potatoes, and I'm not peeling these. I am leaving the peeling on them. The next thing I'm going to do is add some Swiss chard. Now, this is one of the few times in my life, I don't know why, but I don't have any Swiss chard growing in the garden. So I had to buy this at the store, which is highly unusual. I always have Swiss chard. This is kind of one of those staples I just always have in my garden, but I don't know, this year I have had so many problems with squirrels and gophers, and it's pretty much decimated my garden. So I'm going to be doing a lot of work to my garden. Now, a lot of people throw the stems out. I don't. I actually really like the crunch of the stems from these leaves. But all we're going to do is just a very light chop. Just going to kind of lay these out just so I can kind of cut them in half. And the other thing, I'm going to put a link right above, but I make a Swiss chard pie that is so good. It's it's like for a main meal. It's not a pie that you would eat for a dessert, but I'm not kidding. It's probably one of my favorite things. I just love Swiss chard pie. I mean, if you've never had Swiss chard, you might want to give it a try. It's got a very unique kind of a salty flavor. It just really flavors up your food amazingly well. And you can buy Swiss chard or grow Swiss chard, either colored or they have like a green and white one. I think the more that you can get the red colorings in your food, the better off you're going to be. So the next thing I'm going to add is some fennel. So this recipe actually calls for 2 big bulbs of fennel. And then one of the things that I was reading is that in Sardinia, a lot of compared to the United States, here, when we have fennel, we pretty much just eat these bulbs. But in Sardinia, they actually chop up the green part of the fennel and they add that to their soups as well. So I don't know how that tastes. I've actually never had the, you know, the green part of the fennel, but I am gonna put in the bulb, and I think I'm gonna put in some of the green part. I don't want it to ruin my soup if I don't like it, but I am gonna try it. So all I'm gonna do is just slice this into pieces, and then I'm gonna throw this in the soup. You know, it's another thing I've really never grown in my garden is fennel. I don't know why. I've just, you know, I never have, I don't know, I've never really cooked with it much. So I'm kind of anxious to try this in this soup. I know it's supposed to be very healthy for you. And maybe take some of the green stalk like celery. Maybe I'll do one of these and try it. Cut this up, kind of like you would an herb, I guess. And let's see what we think of it. Smells good. Smells very earthy. We're gonna put one of these stalks in because I really don't know what to expect. Since I don't have any wild garlic, I'm gonna use a couple of cloves of just some regular garlic that I have. And there we go. 2 cloves of garlic. Then I'm gonna put in a small zucchini. And just chop this up. And also put this in my soup. So even though the recipe doesn't call for it, I had a couple carrots that I picked out of my garden the other day. So I'm just gonna add those to the soup. It's not very much. I'm not gonna peel them. I'm just gonna put them in here. They're very small, but they're always really sweet and tender out of the garden. So this is my soup. I just put it on to boil, and I'm gonna bring this up to a boil, and then I'm gonna turn it on to simmer for about a half an hour. We're not gonna overcook this soup, but we do need the potatoes and some of these other vegetables cooked up. So we're just gonna let this cook, and I am gonna add a little bit of salt and pepper. I've got some cracked pepper I'm gonna add. And then I'm gonna add about a half of a teaspoon of Himalayan sea salt. I'm gonna give this a stir and let the vegetables take over as far as flavor. And then I am gonna show you the pasta that we had imported from Sardinia that we're gonna add to our soup. So my soup just has a few more minutes before I'll be adding the pasta, but I wanted to show you the pasta that we're gonna be adding today. It's called fregula, and it's made out of semolina flour. Now this pasta just has a really unusual texture. It's almost like little rocks. It kind of looks like little pebbles. And there's different colors. I mean, there's some dark ones and there's some real light ones. It's very, very interesting pasta. So anyway, I'm gonna be putting some of this in a jar so that it stays nice and fresh. And I'm gonna be adding this in the next couple of minutes. So the soup's been cooking for the last half an hour, so I just wanted to show you the consistency of it. It actually smells really good in here. And the potatoes aren't completely cooked, but it says to add the pasta at this point and cook it another 15 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that. And we will just continue to simmer this until the pasta's all cooked. My soup is finished and I'm gonna serve it up. So this soup is traditionally served with some crusty sourdough bread. Now this is bread that I actually made yesterday. It is my bread maker sourdough. As you can see, it just comes out amazing. It has the most amazing flavor. And this is my soup. Looks beautiful. Let's see how it tastes. It's really a cold, kind of a rainy day today, so all right, let's see what we got. That is very good. Very earthy, very good. I'll let it cool for a few minutes. Very hot, but it's got that earthy, rooty, it's just got a very good flavor. Very good. Got my beautiful bread. And I'm gonna link the recipe for this bread right up above if anybody's interested in trying it. This is a really good one. Super easy to make. The bread maker does all the work. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for coming with me while I cook another recipe from my Blue Zones Kitchen Cookbook. And I hope that you'll give this one a try. I can see why it's healthy. It's got more vegetables than broth, and that's pretty unusual these days, but it is extremely good, very flavorful. I think the fennel, the Swiss chard, the different vegetables than I would typically use just made it really taste good. So let me know what you think. If you give it a try, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, share my video, and ring the bell for future notifications. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.